And Christians in Gaza City have held a special Mass in memory of Pope Francis. In his final public address on Easter Sunday, Francis again reiterated his call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, a conflict he had long spoken out against. Foreign reporters are still not allowed into Gaza by Israel, but DW has spoken to people there as they remember the late Pope.
The Catholic parish of the Holy Family in the heart of Gaza City. Amid the ongoing Israeli bombardment, the small Christian community gathers for a Mass in memory of Pope Francis. The Pope has been following the war closely and has spoken out about the devastating situation of civilians in Gaza. He made it a habit to call the parish priest, Father Gabriel. The last time they spoke was on Saturday to give his blessings.
He called us daily during the war, even on the darkest days, under bombardment, when people were being killed and wounded around us. The communication was constant, day and night. Sometimes, because of the difficult situation in Gaza, it would take 3 or 4 hours of trying before the call finally got through, despite the amount of work and responsibility he had. But he never gave up, until he reached us and delivered his message every day.
The people here say it has given them tremendous support. Most have been living here on the church compound since the war began.
Christians in Gaza will feel the loss of the great paternal tenderness that always embraced Gaza and never wavered. We will miss Pope Francis. We will miss his personal love for each of us. We will miss his fatherly concern, always calling us and asking each one of us about everything in our lives. He gave us compassion and strength and took away our fears. We will miss all of this. It came as a shock, especially after we had heard that his health had partially improved following his release from hospital. Just the day before, his aide spoke on his behalf in St. Peter's Square, delivering a message of peace and calling for a complete ceasefire in Gaza. His final words were about Gaza, a place that held a unique and special place in his heart.
With the death of Pope Francis, one of the voices for peace in Gaza has fallen silent, as the war continues with full force.
And now let's zoom in and talk about Pope Francis' legacy in the Middle East with Oliver McTernan. He's a former Catholic priest and now director of Forward Thinking. That's an organization that is working on conflict resolution in the Middle East. Oliver, Israel, the Palestinians, Lebanon, even Hezbollah have paid tribute to Pope Francis' life's work. Was he considered a friend by everyone in the Middle East?
Yes, I think he was seen as someone who really believed in the equal dignity of each and every human being, regardless of their religious affiliation or disbelief. It didn't matter to him. They were human beings and they were worthy of that. And I think that has communicated itself very strongly.
Now, despite Pope Francis' appeals, the region currently seems further away from peace than ever before. What difference can a religious leader like the Pope actually make in a conflict like this that spans decades?
Well, Gerard, as you've been reporting, tributes have been coming in continually, and especially from the region. I think Francis would have preferred had they listened to his words. And had they listened to his words, I think, and acted on them more importantly, I think we would have had the foundations of a durable peace, particularly in the Middle East region. Religion is extremely important. If we go back to Camp David in 2000, I recall a senior Israeli minister at the time, who was part of that meeting at Camp David, told me that they blew it because they had no understanding of the importance of the religious aspects of this conflict. They knew it was in some way had to be dealt with, but they were hoping by leaving it to the end of the negotiations, issues like Jerusalem could be papered over. And of course, Arafat couldn't sign on what he was presented because of the religious implications of it. So I use that as an example of how extremely important it is to engage religious leaders as well as political leaders. So whatever political settlement is found, there is a theological underpinning. And I think that's been sadly lacking in the past 20-odd years that I've been involved in it.
Now, do you expect the Vatican to reposition itself in the Middle East under the next Pope?
Well, that's a very difficult question to answer. It will very much depend on the Pope. I think you have to make a distinction between whoever is in the chair of Peter, the Pope, and his personal commitment and his deep understanding of the true meaning of life. And as I say, for Francis, it was the equal dignity of every human being. You have to distinguish that. And the Vatican as an institution, I have found that the Vatican is extremely risk averse. It doesn't take the opportunities it should. It doesn't have that sort of courage that Francis displayed in his personal life as Pope, to actually reach out and take risks and run the risk of being caught offside, as it were, as an institution. What's important is all the time it should be promoting the dignity of the person, and that's the only base, I think, where you will get durable agreement. So my hope is whoever succeeds Francis will actually be able to move the institution in that direction, as well as, his own spirit and commitment.
The Middle East analyst Oliver McTernan there, thank you very much.